Hi, I'm Jess from Sandring and Wood Recruitment. We specialise in recruiting within the financial services profession. We're based in Bristol, however, we do work with clients across the UK, one of which is FE, a leading independent provider of investment data and analytical software. I'm today joined by Emma Hanney, who's the HR manager of FE. She'll be spending the next 20 minutes or so with me. Welcome, Emma. Could you tell me a bit about yourself and FE as a business?
Hi, Jess. Yes, I am a chartered member of the CIPD. I've been working in HR for most probably over 20 years. I joined FE a little under 5 years ago at a point in their journey where they felt it was important to have a qualified HR member to their team. Prior to that, I'd worked in law, and I joined a very dynamic, fast-growing company who had a lot of exciting challenges which were part of their growth journey. So it was all endemic, nothing kind of out of the usual, and something that really made me believe that I could add value to FE and its proposition to, the HR element.
Okay. When we look at the industry at the moment, right across the sector, whether you're in a sort of technical services company or whether you're in traditional financial planning, there seems to be quite a skills shortage. So how important do you feel employer branding in order to attract candidates to FE is important for you?
It's really critical. I think there are lots of people that are realising the importance. You have Glassdoor, Emulant, who are sites that basically ask for people to rate their experiences. I think, we have an employee shortage. We have a skill set shortage. We want to get the best people for FE, the right fit in terms of skills, knowledge, behaviour, and you've got to work hard to ensure that you're delivering on all your promises. And it starts from the moment people access your website to how they're dealt with in terms of when they approached you as a company. And indeed, for us, we take it very seriously from not only the recruitment process, even the people that don't get a job offer, we make sure that hopefully they go away feeling disappointed rather than relieved. So, it's really important that we are approachable, responsive, and that we don't forget that we're dealing with human beings at the end of the day.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree totally. I've noticed recently that you've had your website upgraded, which looks fab now. And I know we've discussed sort of offline the development plans that you have further for the sort of career side of it. I mean, it's looking brilliantly better than it was before, but yeah, it's really good. But obviously, there's work that you still want to do on that from a candidate attraction point of view, isn't there?
Absolutely. I mean, for us, what we have is a vision of maybe putting some videos of actual people talking about their experiences. We launched last year our fixed 2-year graduate program, and there was a lot of work that we put into the people side of our site as a result of trying to attract that type of talent. But it was important that, our site, because we deal with in data, financial products, and we're a technical company as well, so we sit between sort of IT and finance. It was really important to drive home the importance of people, that people deliver our products, people deliver our knowledge, and without those people, feeling engaged and motivated, the company wouldn't be half as good as it is today. So it's really important to have engaged people that feel that they haven't been shortchanged, that, what you've shown on your website is the reality, and I think people like honesty, people like sincerity. No one expects the perfect company. No company is perfect. What they want is an accurate representation of what you can do as a business for them, how you will, engage them, and hopefully fulfill some of their career aspirations as well. So the website is an important window. We wanted to make the people side, our careers page, feel like there were real people. So pictures, pictures say 1,000 words. So that was important. Not to have models, but actual real life FE employees. And also trying to be as clear and upfront about what a journey would look like with the company from the point of once you approach us with an inquiry, whether it be directly or indeed via an agency, and then what it will look like going forward. In terms of agencies, I think that's really important for a company to really think about the people that they work with. As you know, Jess, it's a really competitive industry, and I must probably have 10 to 20 calls, sometimes a day, from people looking at our careers page, wanting to do business with us. And actually, most probably, I work with 2 or 3 regularly. Not necessarily for the same types of jobs, because we're very diverse in both sort of what we do as a business and the skill sets we need. But I think, we've worked really hard to develop a good relationship so that we're being represented by third parties really well, and that it's those sort of relationships are invaluable. So working with the likes of yourself has been really important, particularly with our distribution side of our business, that IFA kind of wealth management side of the business. That's been really critical.
And it's been good working with you on that basis, because obviously I've been able to bring my experience in dealing with the IFA market into
Absolutely.
your business, and it's worked really quite well. I think a lot of firms could learn a lot from this, where, as we've discussed again offline, where they sort of chuck their one vacancy out to 10 different recruitment companies, think they're going to get a better service, and then, basically all they're doing is pitching one against the other. It becomes a CV race, and there's, unfortunately, you in HR don't have really the time to spend briefing properly, genuinely and properly, 10, 12 different recruitment companies.
Absolutely.
So that everything gets watered down and you don't get the best representation for your business, rather than if you work with sort of small handful of select appointed recruiters that really get you and your business, and it all helps with the candidate attraction and the employer branding to help represent you in the best possible way.
Absolutely. I think, it is difficult. As you say, we've sometimes in certain areas, we've got skill shortages. We, as a sort of service to the wider business, have metrics that we have to perform against. But it is important, I think, to keep your nerve as an HR manager, to really work hard at developing good relationships with the people that you work with. And just, I think one of the critical things is keeping people updated and regularly informed. Now, for you and I, we both are very passionate about that user experience and making sure that we are dealing with stakeholders sort of the way that we would like to be dealt with ourselves. You are an extension of the HR function, so we need to select who we work with carefully. We need to respect that relationship, and I think I will always be transparent with you. I don't, if I'm going to other people as well as you, it will only be a handful, but I'm always upfront. We know exactly where we stand, and I think that's really important, to start from a position of trust and honesty. Make sure that the people that are helping with that recruitment search understand your business and will support it and mirror the kind of conduct that is critical to you as an organisation as well.
Similar values, making sure that we have the same high standards and the same values and same benchmarks of what we're looking to achieve. Now, if I were to put, obviously, we do put people through for interview with you. What would you say a sort of good interview process looks like, and how would you ensure as a business that you and the candidate get the most out of it? And what would you say are the do's and don'ts?
Okay, well, I think, the candidate experience should be faultless. We should meet them in a timely fashion. I don't really support running late. If someone's coming and doing me the courtesy of attending an interview at a particular time, then it's important that I don't keep them waiting. We try very much to put people at their ease. I want to know the individual. I've got what they do on their CV. I'm trying to kind of get an understanding of who they are. You know, everyone's different, and it's important in terms of team fit to make sure that, not that I'm getting the same types of people, far from it, but that, you know, the environment that I'm going to be putting that candidate into is going to be somewhere where I feel they can flourish. We also factor in objective metrics, so we do have a variety of assessments. You know, face-to-face interview, there is always value to that, but I think you know, never base your decisions on assumptions. You know, don't be frightened to challenge, to explore, and to test those skill sets. But you've got to try and do it in a sort of timely fashion as well. We try and keep momentum. We try and keep the process maybe to 2-stage, ideally. Sometimes it has to be 3-stage, and that will obviously be impacted by the level of the job that we're looking to resource. But we're respectful and flexible of people's diaries, their commitments, work commitments. So I think for us, it's about giving excellent support, ensuring that people get feedback as well in a timely fashion, that we don't keep people waiting, that if there are delays, we're keeping the candidate or indeed the agency fully briefed, so that ultimately people feel cared for, like they matter. And some of the things that I've heard from people out, you know, looking for jobs, is sometimes they can go for an interview and then they don't get it, they don't get any feedback. You know, people sometimes are very worried about giving feedback. They feel it's quite a litigious sort of area. I think, you know, as long as you've got good recruitment processes in place and you're being objective on the things that you're, you know, assessing, that shouldn't be an issue. You know, sometimes it will be down to personality. Sometimes it will be the fact that, you know, the management style of a particular person and what that the candidate's looking for is never going to mesh, you know, and I think that's critical. But we're also about building our line managers' awareness on how to treat staff, keeping them up to date, you know, working with them to really build that awareness of that diversity. You know, you might deal with, you know, a number of people in a particular way, but when someone new comes into their group, they might learn things differently, they might
different dynamics,
be engaged in different ways, and really, if you can adapt to that diversity, you become more valuable yourself. You know, it's kind of the whole thing, you know, both components, both the business and the person coming into the business are critical, that they're both, you know, gelling together and coming together as positively and as timely as possible. So I think it's good communication, regular updates, even if there isn't anything specific, just making someone feel that they matter, that they, you know, a wall of silence will, I think, always reflect badly. And I also believe that trying to make something feel personal, you know, sending out generic kind of, hello, sorry, it wasn't successful.
Yeah, rubbish.
Yeah, people, I think, are getting tired of that. You know, I think, you know, there is a balance, I get that, but I also think, you know, I actually went to a workshop the other day, and it was with a law firm, and the solicitor there, who's a lovely guy, said, you know, I do away with the minute manager. Sometimes people think speed is better than quality.
Yeah.
You know, I don't agree with that. I think, you know, you can work hard and fast, but you should never lose sight of what you're trying to communicate. And I think, yeah, you just have to be careful that you're treating people as individuals. And I think be very aware that people will go to the outside world and will criticize you if you're not delivering. You know, so there's stuff outside your control where they're rating you and saying that was a terrible experience, never go near them. You know, they said this and this is what they delivered.
And who else might they tell in the process as well? You know, we all know that people share bad news wider and greater probably than good news.
Everyone likes a bit of bad news, don't they?
And also, I mean, one of my favourite sayings is going back to the, feedback and giving news to people is no news is news to a candidate. So
Yeah.
when somebody goes completely quiet and we have to chase and chase and chase for feedback of some description, it's a very difficult, challenging position to put the recruiter in because we're trying to keep everyone happy. We're trying to keep the company happy, we're trying to keep the candidate happy, and keeping people warm in the process. So even if it's to say, this has happened, we've got a series of meetings, we can't get back to you until such and such a day. That's fine. We have so many ways of now communicating with candidates, whether it be a quick text message to keep them updated, or drop them an email. Or quite often, what we tend to do nowadays is drop candidates emails on a Friday afternoon, just to give them sort of a weekly status of where we're at with their certain interview process. Just keeping people informed and treating people like you want to be treated yourself. And I know you've touched on that as well. There's so many circumstances where we seem to lose sight of that.
Well, I think people just forget that, that human contact is critical. For instance, at work, I know and I encourage all staff to really have those informal chats and communicate, because that's how you build relationships. That's how you get somebody to care about things. For instance, we're a global business, and so some of our teams sit outside the UK, and we really moved away from email to Skyping, just because that contact, that facial contact, that looking at someone in the eye and building that relationship is critical to someone actually caring, about you. And I think we've gone too far the other way. We've seen sort of the likes of social media as being almost like the way to communicate. It's there to support.
Yeah.
It should never be the only way. I think, phones, talking to people, something that's critical with me with the agencies that I work with is that I do not like people that just volume sort of, send me loads of CVs where it's clear they haven't really done their homework, they haven't spoken, they haven't, they've given no time and effort. It drives me mad. And I think, sadly for you, there are so many agencies that can fall into that category, that for the good people, and there are, I work with some excellent people, it's kind of like you're having to overcome sometimes that cynicism, like, oh yeah, okay, you're different. Yeah, I've heard that a million times. But I can say the people that I work with, I know they've spent time with people, and they will be honest, if they've got good people, but they're not right for FE, then that's the way it should be. I'd much rather that work goes on, and that the people that actually turn up to our offices for that first interview are there because they're,
they really want to be
excited. So it's so important. And I think that's what I would say is, of course, we've got to balance the needs of the business. Of course, we've got to do things in a timely fashion, but you've got to have the quality.
I think a lot of people that have been interviewed by yourself have come away with that sort of opinion of business. And I know from the feedback that I've taken, it's been a very honest interview with the good, bad, the ugly, the things that need improving, the things that the business is working towards, the fact that you are an entrepreneurial company, you don't rest on your laurels. And I think when people come away from having had an interview with FE on that basis, they're quite excited about it. Even if they don't end up necessarily, as you said earlier, getting the job, they still feel that they've had a pretty good, insightful, open and transparent interview, which I think is all what interviewing and hiring should all be about.
Absolutely. And do you know what? I think that's really what it's about. If you believe what you're saying, then I think that's a very compelling thing. If you're passionate about something and it comes through, I don't subscribe. I'm not saying this is the way to do it, but I don't subscribe to the sort of interviews that put people on edge. I'm not saying I don't believe in asking challenging questions or exploring or testing certain statements, but I want people to feel relaxed. And to me, I know, and I don't want it to come across as arrogant, but I think any HR sort of manager worth her salt or his salt will know that if you're honest and you treat people well, it can only do good. It can only do good. And when people come to our offices, normally once they've gone through all the processes and the tests and assessments, when I meet with them, pretty much everyone comes away wanting to go back to, come for a second interview, which I think says it all. And we're not selling a dream, we're selling FE as it is.
And also in a candidate shortage market, which is what we started the conversation about, it's not just good enough now for companies to get somebody in front of them and say, well, why are you here? What can you do for us? Where could you add value? Yes, those are questions you want to ask, but it's a two-way thing, and you should also be, or companies should, selling them to the candidate. This is why you should want to come and work for us. But sometimes some companies get it so wrong, and they're still treating it very much old school, that they're in the driving seat.
Yeah.
There's all these candidates falling over themselves to work for companies. It's not necessarily the case. It has to be a sort of two-way thing, really.
Absolutely. I think this is it. If you go in slightly arrogant and, almost dismissive or feeling that, you're the one that's going to be calling all the shots, then I think you will be rudely awakened. I just think, obviously we're competing against some people that have got hugely impressive brands out there, they're household names, but we are getting there. And how we're getting there is we are encouraging people to rate us. We're very involved in the communities that we have our offices. We're very big on CSR, that's critical to us. And indeed, that's something that really comes through. People want to work for companies that have got a conscience as well. And it's important that you do as much as you can to promote your business as accurately as possible.
Well, Emma, thank you so much for your time today. It's been great talking with you.
Yeah, thanks very much, Jess.
Bye.
Pleasure.